Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. March 27th. Art Hallett. Musician, songwriter, software engineer, worship leader, teacher, preacher. All these words describe Art. He currently serves as Director of Prison Ministries for Evangelism Explosion International, EEPM. He also founded Hallett Prison Ministries and speaks at churches across the country and internationally. On this date, in 1984, Art became a member of Sarasota Baptist Church, where he has faithfully served as a commissioned missionary. Here is his story.
Sometimes we're set up to answer the hard questions and to be set free. The music in the club made it hard to hear anything. 17-year-old Art Hallett had to ask the two pretty girls to repeat their question. "Do you want to come home with us?" they yelled louder. He couldn't believe it. It must be true what they say about girls swooning over any guy in a uniform. He had joined the army just a month before, and now this was happening? "Sure thing, I will." Art grabbed a girl with each arm. They piled into a Volkswagen and drove to a house. When a young man opened the front door, Art was surprised to see him. But the man seemed to be expecting them. He greeted Art and introduced himself as a youth pastor. Before long, Art realized this was some sort of religious setup. The girls brought unsuspecting army recruits over to the house, and their youth pastor delivered a gospel presentation. Slick, Art thought. The youth pastor asked Art to sit down. He shrugged and sat. He felt comfortable enough in the religious meetings, and he could deal with this and hang out with the girls later. But the youth pastor seemed more interested in a conversation with Art than preaching a sermon. He brought up some hard questions, forcing Art to think. "Why would God let you into heaven when you die?" he asked. "Who is Jesus to you?" The man talked about how God loved him, that God wanted a relationship with him, that God would change Art's life. Art was really listening to the man now. This was different from anything he had heard before. Turning to the girls on the couch, Art asked, "Hey, I have a question now. How come you picked me?" There had been a lot of guys at the club that night, better-looking guys, others who would have been safer to get in a car with, guys who would have treated the girls with a little more respect, Art thought, feeling ashamed. One of them answered, "We just asked God to show us who he wanted." Art blinked away sudden tears. God had set up this whole thing for him? Art went back to the base, eager to share the good news of his faith with his buddies, but their reaction stung him. "Ha, you're just one of those holy rollers now, religious freak." Art didn't know any Christians, and he didn't even own a Bible. Throughout the years that followed, Art made small compromises until he had pushed his relationship with God almost out of his life. "I had all the bells and whistles, a high-powered job, money, cars, and a whole lot of conviction," he said. "God just wouldn't let me go. He kept sending people into my life to point me back to him." At work one day, when Art's colleague Derek invited him to a church meeting, Art said, "Sure, why not?" Art drove to the church, bringing along his beautiful girlfriend, Jill. He was looking forward to some good gospel music. It was hot and muggy that evening, and the fans inside the church weren't doing much. The music ended, and a man on the stage was speaking, but Art could only hear the questions God was asking his heart. "Do you remember my love for you? Will you follow me?" Art had been astray long enough from the life God had for him. Smiling in defeat, Art said, "I'm yours, God." Surrounded by mentors from Derek's church, Art's faith in the God who loved him grew strong. Now, he is passionate about guiding others to Jesus, those new to faith and those who need to be brought back. 2 Corinthians 5:18 says, "And all of this is a gift from God, who brought us back to himself through Christ. And God has given us this task of reconciling people to him." Are you as close to God as you need to be? Sometimes we're set up to answer the hard questions and to be set free.
Thank you for listening to today's story. Every day of the year, our hope is to inspire you with real-life stories of faithful men who have gone before us. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily ensnares us. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us." Join us tomorrow for another story at 365christianmen.com.